the Dallas Cowboys organization for the last 10 years and was a high performing leader. He currently works in, I had it, sorry, Sean, I had it brought up and then I moved off of it. So he's currently working with the AT&T Stadium and is responsible, I'm going to say you're responsible for generating a whole lot of revenue. Is that fair to say?
That's probably the easiest way to put it. You got it.
I'm sorry. Anything regarding making money for the stadium? He's a leader there at the AT&T Stadium organization, and we're just excited to hear from you. Last time we got the Rangers right to hear the story how they shut down their brand new stadium right as they were trying to open it, and how they went through COVID. So it's exciting to have the Cowboys organization, AT&T Stadium. Sean, to have you here and tell us what life has been like and what you've learned and how we can all be better sellers.
Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for having me and allowing me to be a little flexible with scheduling. And I know we've been kind of going back and forth. So I just want to let you know that it's definitely a pleasure, and I'm excited to be here with everyone today. Wherever you may be, whether you're here, in Texas, sitting in your living room with your pajamas on, I'm not judging. It's all good. Thank you for your time today. As you mentioned, my name is Sean Penix. I'm the director of sales here at AT&T Stadium. Home of the Dallas Cowboys, right? For those that don't know. And I want to talk to everybody here today. I don't have a slide presentation or deck, and honestly, I thought about going that route, but I just wanted to be as authentic as possible and be able to speak with this group and talk about a few things, as Mr. Dover mentioned, in regards to just this past year, and really even before that time, and how we've gotten to this point, and truly what it's been like, to sell through, really uncertainty. So I think we all can say that 2020 was definitely a year of uncertainty, and I want to talk through that. So cover some, just some housekeeping items here, right? Some things I'm not going to talk about. I'm not going to talk about how the Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl. I think that's a fact. I'm not going to talk about how Dak Prescott is going to be leading the year as a comeback MVP. That's a fact. I'm also not going to talk about how CeeDee Lamb is probably going to lead the league in receptions. That's also a fact. So those are things I'm not going to talk about. Just get that out of the way. What I am going to talk about, though, is really, how to overcome some adversities that you will continue to face in your professional career, whether you're currently working right now and in sales. That is a day-to-day situation that you'll be battling adversity, battling challenges. And so, my goal today is to talk to you, one, share some stories regarding sales and the past, what's been happening here at AT&T. Also share some thoughts regarding around life. But hopefully the thing that will be the cohesive piece to all of it will really be mindset. And so talk through that and really how that will set you up for success as you move ahead. So again, I said I was going to share some stories. So very recently, Mother's Day, was among us. So I've been very blessed and fortunate to have a beautiful wife that puts up with me, and I have two daughters that keep me busy every day. And so of course, this month we celebrated my wife and Mother's Day, and had her out for lunch, and right after church kind of took her to this nice lunch, and my girls made all these different things for her, and it's obviously a challenge, right? It's a challenge for husbands to, how well can you take care of the person that is responsible for so much. And so definitely a great day to celebrate my wife, and through all of this, these plans, my daughters are actually going through swim class right now. So they are, every Friday I take them to swim. They are turning into fish, and it's pretty cool to see. and really important part of their life. They're really engaged, which I'm excited about because I feel safer and better as a parent that they're learning that skill set. And as we're going through, we're having lunch, for Mother's Day, and my oldest, Millie, she says, Dad, I really want to go swimming. Now, mind you, this isn't, I said we go every Friday. This is a random Sunday, and I have no idea what pool may be open at all. Thankfully, her grandparents have a pool. My daughter is probably going to be a salesperson one day because she breaks it down to me and says, like, just so you know, Dad, Pokey and Coach, that's what she calls her grandparents, they have a pool. And I know that our normal pool we go to isn't open, so we should probably go check that out, right? Just trying to entice me. I'm like, yeah, we probably should check that out. But, it's Mother's Day, that type of thing. And she said, no, we should go check it out. And I feel like, maybe me and my sister, we can go swimming, and maybe you can join too. Now, if y'all recall, in Texas, on Mother's Day, it was a beautiful day outside. It was probably 75, 80 degrees out. But it just like stormed, and there was a lot. And so I knew in the back of my mind, whatever water we get into, and if it's outside, it's probably going to be freezing, right? It's going to be terrible for me. And so I still play along with my daughter. I said, let's do it. I'm okay with that. Let's actually go and we'll go with your plan. So fast forward, after lunch, we go, and I'm still hesitant, right? I'm being honest with you. I was like, man, this water is going to be freezing. I don't really think I'm ready for this. But I've committed. And so we get to my in-laws' house, and, my daughters skip the pleasantries. Like, they don't even see their grandparents. They go straight to getting their swimsuits on, and they're like, all right, where's the pool? I'm ready to go. And they're like, Dad, like, let's go. You need to, get your swimsuit, get your swim trunks on, let's go. And so I'm doing everything possible to put this off, to say, I got this thing, like, I used to play football. So, like, Dad's old injuries are coming back. I was trying to make up everything I could. And, my wife is looking at me like, it's Mother's Day, so I'm definitely not getting in the pool. You're going to do whatever. You're going to have to take care of the kids today. And so, I eventually give in, and I'm like, okay, I'll get in the pool. So, but I have my daughters, they're 5 and 2. And I said, you know what, why don't you test it out? Let me know how the water is. Let me see how, see if these swim lessons we're putting you guys into are paying off, right? And so my daughter gets in, immediately, as soon as her feet touch the water, like, her body is shaking. It's frigid. Nobody's been in the pool all year. It is, it's probably, mind you, probably about 40 degrees, close to that, 40, 45 degrees, as far as how the temperature looks. And my daughter's in there just shaking, right? And of course, I ask her, how is it? And she's just like shaking. Oh, it's great, right? So again, like, as I mentioned earlier, she's going to be a true salesperson one day, because she tried to play it off, but her body was speaking other languages, because I was like, no, you're obviously cold. So that means I'm going to be freezing. So she gets in, doesn't even phase her. She continues to swim. My youngest, Mava, she gets in as well, has her floaties on. She's ready to go. I don't think she can even move in her floaties. She's just so prepared, and jumps in. And so here lies me, right? I sit there, and I'm like, all right, Millie, like, I really don't know if Dad, what, why don't you just swim? And she just pauses for a second. And you talk about, and this is why I wanted to start with this in regards to mindset, is my 5-year-old daughter, she gets it, right? She looks at me and she said, Dad, like, it's just water, and you got this, right? In that moment, as something as subtle as "you got this" in that phrase, it put me in the right state of mind of, my 5-year-old daughter was not fazed by the challenges that I was taking into, and understanding that I was going to have to go outside of my comfort zone to go swimming in freezing water. She just let me know, you got this. And so I of course, I was like, you know what, you're right. I'm going to do it. So I walk in, trust me, it was freezing. And then I just said, you know what? I'm already here. I need to dive in. I need to take a deep dive, and I just need to enjoy it. And as you can imagine, what probably happened is, over time, when you're in cold water, when you're in hot water, your body adjusts. You adjust to the settings and the climate that's around you. And that's naturally what I did. Before you knew it, I was swimming back and forth, and we were doing cannonballs left and right. And I was enjoying myself and enjoying that time I got to spend with my daughters. And how that pertains to selling really in an uncertain time is you have to start and realize that in order to do that, you have to tell yourself and know that you got this. No matter the challenges that you're going to be facing, you got this. And you have to know that once you're going, right, the classes that you're taking right now, that you're finishing up, all that's going to come back as second nature. Once you've, gone a different path, it'll be like, oh, wow, I know how to swim, right? I dove right in and I took on this challenge, and everything started coming back. I do have this. I'm in a good spot. So I share that story to put you in the right framework and the right mindset of, you got this. Whatever wherever your career takes you, whatever your career path is going to be, understand it and start that off with, you've got this. Leads me into my second story. So as Mr. Dover mentioned, working for the Cowboys, I've been here for close to 10 years, or actually a little over 10 years. And it definitely doesn't feel like that. But going back to, my time starting, and even before then, when, Texas Stadium moving over to Cowboy Stadium, which then later turned into AT&T Stadium, there was a lot of changes, right? A lot of changes from people getting out of their comfort zone, saying, I will never leave Irving, Texas. I would never, abandon that to go to Arlington, Texas, to, spend more money on seats or suites or sponsorships. Before you know it, people did. And that's why we're at a point where our stadium's completely sold out, and we, sell tours to this place and do find multiple revenue streams to generate foot traffic in our building. But to tell the story, during that time and leading up into now, as we get to this point, if you're going to be a successful salesperson and you're going to be able to sell through uncertain times, nobody really knew when we moved from Texas Stadium to Cowboy Stadium and began that construction, right? Are people going to show up, right? Cowboys fans are amazing. They travel, they do great things, but will they buy in, right? So that's an uncertain time. That's a complete unknown. We did something completely different in a time frame of the year, and really a time frame in our history where the economy wasn't really great in 2008. It was actually probably one of the worst it's been. Yet we were opening up a brand new sports stadium, asking people to buy what's called a seat license into our building that nobody ever heard of, nobody was doing in the league. And then on top of that, we're also going to charge you for tickets. And so we're introducing a brand new product into a struggling market to say, this is going to be new. And people need to step outside of your comfort zone and realize that we're the experts, realize that this has changed, but we're going to walk you through it. And, in order to sell in a time that's really uncertain, you have to have a high tolerance for ambiguity. And what does that mean? That means you have to be mindful of the fact that things are going to constantly change in your profession, in your life, and there's always going to be some things that's going to be different. And as a salesperson, you have to be prepared for those changes that come as it relates to 2020 into now. You are at a point where, we went through, I think, daily a change, right? I mean, it was constant change, whether it's CDC regulations, whether it's state regulations, it was a constant change. I probably feel like I worked harder and more last year, working from home and trying to pivot and adjust than I've ever worked in my life. And I would tell you that I'm a lot better for it. But having a high tolerance for ambiguity leads to a successful salesperson, because you're able to roll with the punches. And not that always those are going to happen every day, but you're prepared for those things. Hey, we're going to go from normal physical tickets that we hand out to our season ticket holders to now everything is mobile, everything is contactless, everything is, via phone, via computer, and we're not going to have this face-to-face, interaction, this touchless type of environment. And what did that teach us? In 2020, we went from, a lot more efficient platform, from getting people their ticket distributions, to allowing it to where guests can get in and out of places in our building in a lot safer manner than we'd ever even thought before. And truthfully, because we took so long to even make that change, I think, COVID and going through that pushed us into that setting. We do things completely different, accreditations that we received at our building and our venue that we didn't even really think about until things happen. And so having a high tolerance for ambiguity has led us to a point where now we can actually go out into the market with a different mindset and understand that we can control the controllables. But you also have to know that I need to be adaptable in every setting, which leads me into my third story I wanted to share with this group. So March 18th, 2020, I was sitting here in my office, here at my desk, and we had an RV show. If you can imagine, we have some crazy things here at AT&T. So one of our partners, Funtown RV, this is not a plug for them to make you go buy an RV. I'm just letting you know that we partner with them, and they do a lot of great things for the Cowboys. And so part of their whole sponsorship relationship with our team is annually we always allow them to bring all of their boats, RVs, you can imagine. And I wish I could take you out to the field and kind of show you just how much of a footprint they actually have here at AT&T. But the entire football field is covered in RVs. All our plazas are covered with pontoon boats, and things are everywhere. And they have a 3-day show where they invite thousands of people from all over to come and really get an opportunity, one, to kind of a full celebration of all the new products that they have, and they can actually buy an RV here. It's one of their biggest sales campaigns of the year. So obviously it's very important to them for them to be able to host this. So March 18th, 2020, I'm the lucky person that gets to shut down the event for Funtown RV. It's their first day. They've been open for 4 hours as far as everything going. They're starting to sell and everybody's coming in. And probably at that time, we had about 5,000 or 6,000 people in the building, walking around, looking at RVs, making transactions, that type of thing. And I get a phone call from our manager of the building, general manager of the building. And he said, hey, you need to shut down the event today. I said, no problem. I know there's a lot going on in our country. And so we'll let the client know that we'll get everything taken care of. They won't be able to come back the next day. We just want to make sure that they have a good day. He said, no. Texas just said, Governor Abbott just came on and made this statement, and here's what's happening. And so you need to shut it down right now. So I'm over here like, I'm all but 6 foot and 190 pounds. I'm like, nobody's going to listen to me right now. And I'm not going to be able to push somebody out, right? How am I going to, are they going to give me a microphone and I can tell everybody, okay, this is not a drill. You need to get out of the building. And so, as I'm sure you can imagine, the client was very unhappy, right? But also understanding, also the point of confusion. And that's when a lot of the uncertainty, I guess, of 2020 and COVID really began, because that started the whole cycle of multiple cancellations and moving people around in our stadium. And it started with Funtown RV. Now, the happy and good part of this story is I can tell you today starts their 2021 version of what they were trying to do in 2020. So if we go out in the field right now, those same RVs that we just talked about are there now to kick off their 4-day event for their customers and clients. And so if you're in the area, feel free to come by. It's free. I talk about that because in a time where the world was beginning to press pause, the Cowboys, and really as a salesperson, we had to start pressing play on how we were going to be able to get through these challenges that we were about to face. And going through the things that I just highlighted on, realizing that you got this, having a high tolerance for ambiguity, and then on top of that, having empathy for the people that are going through some of these changes, that's what's going to lead to the success of being a high performer, being able to battle and sell through a time of true uncertainty where people don't know. They look to you and will look to you as a sales professional, as a person of trust, person of insight, and as an expert. And your job as a salesperson and for my team was to provide a level of comfort in a time where things were uncomfortable, things were very uncertain. We wanted to be that certain thing that you could call and say, you know what, we're going to refund you here. We're going to move you to this date. We have a plan. Here's what our next steps are. And that type of mindset allowed us to be reopening June 1st of 2020, right? And so in that, 2.5 month window, it allowed us to then say, okay, what are we going to do to be back, to get to begin to create this trend in this way, to be prepared. And as you see things opening up in Texas and really across our country, the reason why AT&T Stadium and the Cowboys are in a different spot, right? 2 weeks ago, we had 73,000 people here for a boxing match. How is that possible? And then also no COVID cases, nothing related to that. Well, the reason is because back in March 18th, we said we're going to make sure that we can do everything we can do to control that, to battle against the constant changes, right? And so, going and moving forward, I think having empathy is one of those things that's really missed as a salesperson. I think, I'm telling you, when I first started in sales, I was like, I want to continue to rise, and I want to be the person that's always looked at as the go-to and a killer salesperson. And I was fortunate to be around some good leadership to show me that way. But one thing that the Cowboys always like to harp on was having empathy, having understanding of the clientele that you work with, and making sure that you create that trust at all times. Because in times like 2020, when really no revenue was like just jumping off the pages, and it's not about trying to make a lot of money or anything of that nature, it's about, can I relate to my customer, my client, and can they call on me, especially in a time where our industry, we lost 10 million people were displaced from jobs during that time. And that's a lot of people, right? It's a lot of people to try to find some understanding. And that now as things pick back up, it allowed us to make sure that we are putting our people first and putting our clients first before we're putting the dollar first. And so, again, going back, the mindset is, you got this. No matter what the challenge is going to be, you're going to be able to face that. And you have to tell yourself that you're going to be able to do it. Having a high tolerance for ambiguity, understanding that, rolling with the punches, understand that you're going to be facing those challenges, and really having a plan to face those challenges, and be an expert to the people that call you for comfort and reliability, and then have some empathy in that point, right? When that time happens, how do I address that client that I had to cancel, just so you know, the Funtown RV event is $1.2 million in revenue for us, right? So, that's revenue off the books. And I'm sharing with you guys that all of a sudden is gone, right? And how does, as a salesperson, do you say, well, no, I need the commission and I need the sale and all these different things? Or do you have empathy and you said, you know what, this is probably the start of something that could be detrimental to their business, right? And how can we work together to make this happen? And what we did was we grabbed Funtown. We said, I'm sorry about what's going on. How can we help? Right? You're a partner of ours. How can we help? How can we make this right? And put our heads together, and here we are, having this event this year, and the client couldn't be happier. And the one thing that they say is not because, we're able to have our event, it's because we were able to stick with them. We understood where they were coming from, and we weren't trying to just be treat them as a transaction. And so, you probably hear it all the times and have heard it over time. about building rapport and continuing that relationship and relationship selling. You know, part of that is very important in your sales career and as you progress. But I think a big part of that relationship, detail is going to have empathy involved in that. And so, I wanted to, again, no slides for me. I'm not really a huge slide person. Like now, I'm happy to put together a deck and break it down for you and do all that. But, if you ask anybody on my sales team, I just like to kind of speak from truth in regards to where I come from and what I've seen in this industry, especially in sports, where I think we realize a lot how much we miss sports and need sports in our lives, whether you're a huge sports fan or not. The big change for me was whenever we didn't, I think the week after that, when we left our office last year, it was March Madness, right? And I was like, where am I gonna get my basketball? Like, I need that fixed. I didn't get that. And so to know that it happened this year and I'm an Arkansas guy, so I got to see my Razorbacks play a little bit, and it's just things of that nature that really got me back into feeling very comfortable again. And so, I really will leave this group with this. If you can really touch on the three areas that I kind of hit on, having the mindset that you got this, no matter what it's going to be, being empathetic and having high tolerance, the success is going to come to you. I can assure you that, because the training that will be there wherever you go, but knowing that you start your day, you finish your day the same way, you'll be in a great spot. And so for those of you, I would tell each of you to make sure whatever you do in life, be where your feet are, enjoy that moment, and always know that you got it. Thank you.
Any questions for Sean? We got a couple minutes here. If you have any questions. We did have one question, but I think you answered it in the course of your presentation. Sherry, do you want to ask your question?
I actually think you did a great job of presenting exactly what I was asking. So thank you for that.
So she was asking about the high tolerance of ambiguity. How did you run into obstacles where your customers presented frustration from the uncertainty and change? And so how did you handle the situation? Which I think you kind of covered. So
happened pretty much every week for a good 3-4 month span, right? Which I think, because of that, it allowed us to really understand our own process. Are we handling some of these objections and things in the right way? And I think what I've always valued and appreciated about this organization is, the Jones family, my leadership, even around me, it's always about the people. I mean, without fans, we don't have a company. So, we got to make sure that we're treating our people the right way.
Yeah, and I really like that you touched on the rapport part of it too. Building those relationships. I think how you are building those relationships and those are your customers, they have an important say-so in that as well, like how they're going to handle it and how to proceed moving forward. So thank you.
No problem.
Sean, thank you for making the time to visit with us today. We're looking forward to live events. We're unfortunately a state institution that has multiple layers, federal, state, and then even UTD and UT system rules that create a myriad of challenges. But, we look forward to going back to live events on our campus, hopefully this fall. So,
yeah, the way things are shaping up, I would hope this fall, and to everybody on this call, I mean, should you have any questions or if there's anything that I can do to help out, I wear kind of two hats. I work for the Cowboys, but also work for our hospitality company called Legends Hospitality, and we have a sales program that we're in about 120 plus sports teams and organizations across the country and across the globe. So should you want to get into sales or in sports sales, give me a shout. I'm happy to talk you through that.
Sean, if people want to connect with you, what is the best way? Is it LinkedIn? Is it directly to your email?
You can shoot me a direct email. I would like to say I'm pretty good at getting right back to people, but LinkedIn is great as well. And again, happy to make time for anybody that wants to reach out.
All right, thank you. Would you mind dropping your email in the chat so those that may want to reach out that way could do that? Folks, we're now moving into looks like we have a 20-minute break.